Hello, hello. We are going to solve about 10 multi-step equations, and we are going to just get started, okay? So problem one is going to be -16 equals -4 minus 6x. So one thing that I want you to do is I want you to see a couple of them, learn the process, and then after you do a couple of them with me, I want you to do some on your own. I'm still going to do the video solving all 10 of them. You may do them the same way that I am, you may do them differently, but for the sake of time, I'm going to just say pause the video, you pause it, do the work, and then come back and watch the answer. So my first step is I know that in order to solve an equation, I need to do the reverse of Pemdas. Okay, so if you remember, Pemdas is our order of operations. So when I solve a problem without any variables, I follow that process. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Now, when I solve a single step or multi-step or any sort of equations, I have to start from the bottom up. So I need to constantly ask myself, do I have any addition or subtraction in the problem? In this case, I do. Now I have two things that I'm subtracting. In this case, I'm going to start with making a zero pair with the -4 on both sides, okay? Then I have -16 plus 4 is -12 equals -6x. So I've already taken care of my addition or subtraction. I no longer have any more addition or subtraction. I now have only multiplication and division. So then I'm going to do the opposite of the thing that is being done to my variable. So in this case, I have -6 times x. So what I am going to do is I'm going to actually divide both sides by -6 because division is the opposite of multiplication. So here I have x equals +2. Okay, let's jump right into the next one. It is 3x. Whoops, I started saying things and then I just kept writing. I can't talk and write at the same time sometimes. All right, so the first thing here, what I'm going to do is I am going to distribute. I'm going to end up with 6x plus 15 equals 3. This one's nice because it's got all positives. Do I have any addition or subtraction? Yes, I do. I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides, creating this zero pair here. I'm going to be left with 6x equals -12. Then I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 6, creating a 1 pair just like I did here. And x equals -2 in this case. Okay, let's jump right into 3. Of course, if you have any questions at any point in time, absolutely go ahead and reach out. I'm here for you whenever you need them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to distribute this, even though I would prefer not to. But I know that your teacher is kind of like, you need to distribute these. So you're going to have 1/2 x. Well, let's think about what's half of -2. Half of 2 is 1. So half of -2 is -1. Again, I'm going to ask myself, do I have any addition or subtraction? Yes, I do. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. Whoops. Creating that zero pair, then means I'm going to have 10. Half of x is 10. So when I say half of x, that's actually 1/2 times x. So 1/2 times x, if I take a look, the opposite of multiplication is division. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually multiply both sides by 2. Because half of 2 is 1, and that's going to create my 1 pair. That's how this side is going to create my 1 pair. Okay, so then I'm going to be left with x equals 20. Okay, let's take a look at number 4. So sometimes you're going to have to combine like terms before you could actually start with addition or subtraction. So let's take a look at this one. In this case, in problem 4, I have 8x and -4x as like terms. So I'm going to combine those first, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, do I have addition or subtraction, blah, 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 right? Okay. So now I have 4x minus 3 equals -9 because 8x minus 4x is 4x. Do I have addition or subtraction? Yes, I do have subtraction. I'm going to do the opposite. The opposite is addition. And then I have 4x equals -6. I'm going to divide both sides by 4 because that's going to create my one pair because 4x is 4 times x. And then I'm going to get x equals -6 over 4, which we can actually simplify to -3 over 2. So my answer for problem 4 is going to be -3 over 2. Okay, let's take a look at 5. So I think once we do 5, you should be able to do the rest with pausing the video, okay? And then just looking at the answer and seeing what it is that the answer is. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start with distributive property. I'm going to have -2x minus 6, right? Because -2 times +3 is negative. So -6, and then +5 equals 15. Okay. So I'm going to combine like terms. In this case, I don't have x's that are like terms, but these two are like terms, this -6 plus 5. So -6 plus 5 is actually -1. So I have -2x minus 1 equals 15. I'm going to add 1 to both sides, creating that 0 pair. I'm going to be left with -2x equals 16. Then I'm going to divide both sides by -2, creating that 1 pair. Okay. And I'm going to have x equals negative, because it's divided by a negative number, 8. Okay. So now is when you want to pause the video. Well, after you write down the problem, it's when you want to pause the video and go ahead and do the problem on your own, come back and then see the results. Okay, so you should be back. We're going to distribute the 3. We should have gotten 3x minus 6 equals 21. Add 6 to both sides. 3x equals 27. It's kind of nice that they're all positive now. Divide by 3. Get x equals 9. Okay. One mistake that you could have made is you didn't distribute fully and gotten the -6, or you wrote +6. If you didn't make that mistake, you're not making, you're doing things well, I guess. What's the opposite of not making a mistake? You're doing things correctly. That's the right answer, doing things correctly. Okay, let's take a look at 7. So again, I want you to pause the video after you write down the problem, of course. And then come back. All right, so you should have distributed. Now with this, I want you to be really careful because you see how everything is negative here. So when I take negative multiplied by negative, I get positive. So I get 24x plus 12 equals 12. If you really want to, you could absolutely rewrite this problem and get 24x plus 12 equals 12. So I'm just taking this portion and I'm flip-flopping them, okay? So that my x is on the left-hand side, because I know most students like it when the x is on the left-hand side. Some kiddos don't really care. Forgot to circle that, that's gonna bother me. Okay, so then I'm gonna subtract 12 from both sides. And then I'm gonna get 24x equals 0. See how that's a 0 pair? That's also a 0 pair, because one is positive, one is negative. So realistically, think about it. What times 24 is going to be 0? 0. So then x must be 24. X must be 0. Okay, let's take a look at problem 8. So 4x minus 13 equals 7. So then I'm going to add 13 to both sides. And then I'm going to get 4x equals 20. Oh, you should have paused the video. Oops, sorry. I just love math so much. I just I just get to it. I'm like, woo, excited. Okay, but that was like an easier one. So I hope you know that. Okay, now you should pause the video after you write down the problem and attempt it and then unpause. Okay, so you should have paused it. If you didn't pause it, come back. Okay, so we are going to actually add 7 to both sides because I do have a subtraction problem, right? And so the opposite of subtraction, whatever the opposite of this -7 is going to be the opposite. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to actually add 7 to both sides. And I am going to end up with -6x equals 20. And then I'm going to make this one pair by dividing -6 on both sides. And then I'm going to get x equals 20 over -6. So a couple of things. So thing one, this is actually the same thing as -20 over 6. So you don't have to keep the negative in the denominator, okay? Sometimes when tests are multiple choice, you might see both options. Both options are correct, okay? The other piece is we still have to simplify it. Now I know 6 doesn't go into 20 evenly, but I know that 2 goes into both of these evenly. So I'm just going to simplify by dividing top and bottom by 2 and getting -10 over 3. Okay, let's take a look at this last problem, problem 10. So I have 12 minus 1/3 x equals 2. Pause the video and come back. Okay. So I'm going to subtract 12, creating a 0 pair. Remember, it was the addition and subtraction that I had to absolutely go in and take care of first. Make sure that you rewrote it as -1/3 x equals -10. So don't forget, this minus sign is there for a reason. It's because it's making this 1/3 negative. So earlier on, we've been doing a lot of multiplication of x, 4x, -6x, and all the other x's that we've multiplied. But one of the problems was a division problem, was we had to divide on both sides, right? Because 1/3 of x is actually 1/3 times x. So now what I want to do is I want to divide by 1/3 on both sides. I actually, instead of dividing by 1/3, I'm going to multiply by 3 or -3 because I have this negative here on both sides. So 1/3 of 3 is actually 1, and it's going to give me that one pair that I'm looking for, because that's always the second step that I want. I want that one pair. So in this case, x is going to equal -30. Now, some teachers really prefer that you check your solution. The way that you would check the solution is you would go in and you would take this -30 and plop it into your x so that you can go ahead and make sure that it is the right solution. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Again, reach out if you need any help. Make sure that you watch the video again if you really have some questions before reaching out to me. Okay, all right, bye.